Hi, my name is Lori Alexander, and I'm going to show you how to make Einkorn sourdough bread today. I showed you it, I don't know how to make it a couple years ago. I don't remember that. I should have looked at it before I made this video. But I was a novice when I made that video, and I think a few after that. I get too excited about things. I just want to show you. And I'm an experienced bread maker now. I've been making this for several years now, and I've gotten so much better, so much more efficient. Between my daughter, my daughter-in-law, and my sister, we've cut the steps down so far, made it almost completely foolproof, so much easier for you women. And you will, if you like sourdough bread, and if you have gut issues, you will love this bread. And even people who don't have gut issues shouldn't eat regular wheat. Gluten isn't good for you. And this bread does have some gluten in it, but I have a friend who's very gluten sensitive that can eat this bread, so you'll have to test it. If you're celiac, you can't eat it. But I do ferment it. I ferment it overnight and then almost the whole next day. So I'm going to go step-by-step process with you, show you how I do it. But you buy your starter. I don't make my starter. You can buy it on Amazon. Get it from a neighbor who makes sourdough bread. It's pretty easy to find. And then you keep it in the refrigerator. But every 2 weeks, you have to add 1/4 cup of organic white flour and 1/4 cup of water, filtered water, and stir it in real good. Leave it out on the counter for 24 hours if you're not going to use it, and then put it back in. If you're going to make bread, you take it out, you feed it the starter, you cover it overnight, and then the next day you make the levain. And that's where I'm going to start showing you. I'm going to show you how to make the levain, how to put the bread together, how to divide it and put it in the silpats, not silpats, the little baskets that you cook it in. The silpats is a pat, I know that. And then I'm going to show you how to cook it. So anyway, come along with me if you want to learn how to make the bread that I taught a couple years ago. A lot better, a lot more efficiently. Bye-bye. Okay, here's my starter. And I took out my refrigerator last night, and I added 1/4 cup of water and 1/4 cup of white flour, organic white flour, mix it in. I covered it, and then I just kept it on the counter overnight. Now I'm going to use it to make the levain. So I put it on here, on this scale. You need to get a scale that goes up high. I've made the mistake of buying one that didn't go nearly high enough for a lot of flour. So now you add 25 grams of the starter to it. Push it to 0, and then you add 75 grams of water. And then 75 grams of white organic flour. Put 0. Okay, close enough. I never get it perfect, but that's not anything you have to worry about, because making bread is not a perfection thing. Just a minute, I usually have a spatula, but I just found a spoon. And you mix that really well. And then I'm going to put it in my oven with this little cloth on top of it and the light on for 4 hours. So I'll see you back here in 4 hours. I did find my spatula. It was in the wrong place. See, just a little spatula looks like this, and I just scoop it off the spoon. I mix it with a spoon, and then I just take it off the sides like this. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to be putting it in the oven for 4 hours with the light on. Okay, the levain has risen to the top, and then you want to put in 700 grams of water. And I put it in cups in one place and underneath one of my blogs, but I think it's better to do it by grams, because altitude can affect the weight, and I just find doing it by grams is better, although it's really hard to mess up this bread. It's pretty foolproof. I've never had it actually mess up. Then you want to pour the water. I always take the bowl off of the scale when I'm mixing it because I don't want to ruin the scale. Then I use my little spatula to put in the levain. This really isn't that hard of bread to make, especially since between my daughter-in-law, and my sister, we've all cut the steps down a lot. Always put this into put hot water in it as soon as possible and let it soak because it gets very, very sticky. Mix it up really well, and then you put it back on your scale, and then you add, open this up before I started filming, but I forgot. You add 800 grams of Einkorn flour, 800 grams. So this flour is supposed to be much easier to digest. It's the way flour used to be before it was hybridized, or I'm not an expert on all that stuff. I just learned it and believed it, and I know it. I do better with it. And then I put in 200 grams of the whole wheat, the Einkorn whole wheat, 200 grams. Set it back to 0, and then 200, and it doesn't have to be exact. You guys don't have to be right on the 200. If you go a little over or a little under, it's no biggie. It'll work out. And then salt. I use this salt for everything, or pink salt. I have a really good pink salt too that I love, but if I'm going to cook something, I always use this salt because it's not nearly as expensive. 30 grams of this salt. Okay, and then that's it. That's all the ingredients. Turn off your scale, put it away. And now this is a really easy part. I don't use my hands anymore. Some of you might like to use your hands, but it's really hard to clean up your hands after. And my daughter was the one who figured this out. You just have to mix it up really, really good with this. You clean it off with your fingers. It comes right off really easily. And then when I'm done mixing this really, really well, I'm not going to show you this part because I don't want to have to go get it. I didn't bring it. And to get plastic wrap and to keep it not tangling up, putting it on the counter is hard. So I'm just going to turn off the video once I get this all really mixed up well. I don't even have to probably show you all this, but you mix up really, really well till it's all mixed in really well. It doesn't take very long. And then you get a piece of plastic wrap, and this big bowl I got at Target, and this mixer thing that I have, dough mix, I got on Amazon. They're not expensive at all. Then I'm gonna get a big piece of plastic wrap, and I'm gonna put it on top of this and let it set overnight. And then I will see you in the morning. Okay, it's the next day, and a lot of times it's risen all the way almost to the top, but our house never got that warm overnight. It only got to be about the 60s. I use this flour. Now, it was in the 60 degrees only. We don't put the heater on at night, and so it didn't raise that high. Now the key is to not add a ton of flour to this. So you want to put some Einkorn, because the more flour you add, the more it's not going to raise. It makes it a heavy loaf. So I left that. I put the plastic on this bowl last night about 7, and right now it's 2 the next afternoon. So you can let it sit on the counter for a long time. Now I just cover it with this. So I've been making this bread now for a long time. I'd have to go back and look when I made my first loaf, but it was kind of stupid of me to make a video when I hadn't hardly done it that often much. I think I made it when I made my second, maybe my first loaf. I don't know. I get too anxious about things, too excited. And now I've been making it for a long time, for several years at least, I know. And my daughter-in-law, and my sister, we all make it. So we all see, now this is all the flour I needed to add to it. It's nice and supple and not sticky. You don't want it to be sticky. But I have found that just by leaving it on the counter like that overnight and not putting it like in I tried putting it in the oven with a light on it, just made it too watery, and I had to add so much. Then you turn it over, and then you start this process of going to the top, bringing it down. I do that a lot, like, I don't know, 50 times maybe. But it's getting all the air out, and if it gets to start getting a little sticky, mine's not sticky at all, but I'm going to show you. You just add, put a little bit more flour underneath it. You just keep doing this round and round and round and round, just like that. Okay, until it gets into a nice little ball. Then I have these baskets, silpats I think they're called. And you know what? I forgot my rice flour. Just a second. Okay, this works best. Rice flour. You just put it, I just put it at the bottom of it, and a little bit, and it makes it not stick. And so then when I'm done with this, which I think I've done enough. I haven't counted this time because I'm talking too much. But then you just dump it in here. You just put a little bit of the rice flour over it. Now I'm going to leave it on the counter for a couple hours, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge for a couple hours. So by the time I bake it, it will be dark, but I will show you the end product. I'm going to do this with the other loaf, the same exact thing, and I'll see you later. Okay, one thing I do want to tell you is that I always just use the bowl that the dough is in, and I use this. This is cheap on Amazon, a dough slicer, whatever. I use it for my vegetables when I'm cutting up vegetables, to put it in my soup or salad. It's great. Now, you want to put this hot water in this and let it sit before you scrub it, because it gets very, very sticky. So real hot water, and just let it sit for a little while. And I'm going to turn this camera off so you don't have to watch me fill it up. Okay, I've heated the oven up to 500 degrees. It's very hot, so you don't want your children to be around it. And then once it's heated to 500 degrees, you want to wait about 10 to 20 minutes after. You want that oven really, really hot. I got the bread out of the refrigerator. I have these mitts because it's very hot. You don't want to hurt yourself. So you pull the Dutch oven out of the oven, and you could sprinkle rice flour down there. I really don't, because I have so much on the bread. And then you dump it in there, and then I don't know how I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to try. You just put an X in the bread, at the top of the bread, with a sharp knife. Like I said, this isn't a perfect science. Put the lid on, and then you're going to put it back in the oven for 20 minutes with the cover on. And then after 20 minutes, you're going to put the oven down to 465 and cook it for 10 more minutes. And then I would preheat the oven back up to 500, let it get really hot before I put the second loaf in. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. I don't have one of those little things that showed up. Okay, the bread's been in there for a half hour total. And this is what it looks like. I was looking at, close this right up. I was looking at the film that I just made and how dirty my Dutch oven is. A Dutch oven is so hard to keep clean, so I don't even try. I mean, if you're a perfectionist, it just takes a long time to clean, so I just don't worry about it. So anyway, I'm going to be doing the next one in a minute. To let the oven heat up a little bit. I just made it a big batch of soup. So I'm gonna have a loaf of my bread with it, and it's so, with a big slab of butter on it. It's so good. Women, my grandchildren like it. Everyone who tastes it absolutely loves it. It's so good. It's good in the morning with eggs or avocado and pickle and tomato on top, melted cheese on top of it, cheese sandwiches cooked in butter or just with tons of butter on it. So good. Anyway, if you have any questions, just ask below and I'll respond to you. Thanks. Bye-bye.